Piper, no. Tsunami. Buddhism. No.
Hello? You're currently on the phone with KCK. Yep, that's me.
Hello, everyone. It is Sunday morning. It is, I guess, almost 10 o'clock. It is daylight saving. So, saving. It feels weird to say saving. Anyway, yeah, I'm Casey. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place. Um, I just spent the last, I don't know, 10 minutes trying to find a folder that has been on my computer in the same exact spot on my desktop with like a million folders. But I just updated my computer, and this is exactly why I don't update things. Because why did you have to move my folders around? Like, why? I had to search through files and files and files to find my intro sound when it has been in the same exact spot for the last, I don't know, year. And yes, it's probably been longer than that since I've updated my computer. My phone, I can't even tell you how behind it is, which is annoying because I have it set to automatic updates, and every single morning I wake up, it said, could not update. We'll try again tonight. I'm like, will you? Will you actually try, or are you just gonna say you're going to and then do this again? Um, I'm sure I'm doing something wrong, and Jackson will call me and be like, "You need to do this. You need to do this." And same with like my messages on my laptop. Like the names don't pop up; it's just numbers. And he's like, "You need to put your email in again." And I'm like, the thought of having to go and put my email in and have Google tell me I need to authenticate on 17 different devices before it will allow me to log into one, um, makes me angry. And I don't have the strength to do it right now. My grandma always used to say that. I just don't have the strength. And you know what? I get it now. I truly, truly do. I was just thinking the other day how I am both type A and type B. I'm type A in situations like going on trips. I like to have everything planned out. I like to have everything in order. I just like the best feeling in the world is finally sitting down in the airplane seat, knowing you've gone through security, knowing your bags went through okay, knowing your ticket was fine. It's just, and then you take off, and then you can just turn off your phone, your airplane mode or whatever, put on my headphones, and just zone out, and just knowing everything is in order. But I'm also type B in the sense, I don't even know if I'm getting these descriptions right. Is type B like a person that's completely disorganized? Hang on, let me check. Okay, so I am kind of right. It says type A personality is typically characterized as highly competitive, ambitious, impatient, and time conscious, often displaying a sense of urgency, while a type B personality is considered more relaxed, easygoing, flexible, and less concerned with deadlines. Essentially the opposite of a type A personality. Both terms are used to describe contrasting behavioral patterns in people, with the original research suggesting the potential link to type A traits and increased levels wait, what? Linked type A traits and increased levels of stress and heart disease risk. Oh, well, that's great. It's a good thing I'm not all the way type A. Um, yeah, so I think I'm a little bit of both of these. I'm definitely can be impatient, and when I'm in the zone, I can be a workaholic, but getting to that zone is so hard for me. Um, I am not time conscious. We know that from my TikTok viewing history, my screen time per day. Let's see. Oh, there's more. Okay, type A is self-driven and highly competitive. I don't think I'm very competitive. I and I dream to be self-driven, ambitious and goal-oriented. I feel like I'm that, but again, getting to that place I have a hard time self motivating myself. But like when I work for other people and do things for other people, I will do the best job in the whole world. I will do the best that I can. But when it comes to me, I kind of just like don't, and it really bothers me. Like I guess I'm just not mean enough to myself. uh, let's see, impatient and intolerant, aggressive and hostile. I don't think that's me. Controlling and demanding. I don't think that's me either. High risk of heart disease. Well, entrepreneurial and workaholic. See, I have entrepreneurial tendencies or desires, but I guess I just don't have what they have. The Adderall that I need. Sense of urgency. When I do anything, I can't do it slow. I cannot do anything slow. I can't mow the lawn slow. I can't drive slow. Um, I can't slow down, and it drove my grandpa nuts. Probably still does. He just doesn't say anything about it anymore. When I used to mow his lawn, it was one of those ones that you push down and it like drives itself. And he'd be like, "Please slow down." It's like you're making like bumps in the lawn because the lawnmower would just bounce. And I'm like, "I am so sorry, but I can't." He always got mad at me too for eating too fast, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. Fast paced and too busy to enjoy life. Yeah, I think that's pretty much me. Motivated by challenges. Easily stressed out. Yes. 100%. Okay, type B personality. Less competitive and focused on enjoying life. I feel like I can get to that zone, but it takes me a minute. Easygoing. Yeah. Relaxed. No. Highly flexible. Yes. I am pride myself on being adaptable in situations and just going with the flow. I've had to train myself to do that though, to just be able to expect things not to turn out how I imagine them and just to kind of go with it. And then I um, adapt to that and go from there. If that makes any sense. Energetic, outgoing, yet laid back attitude. Yeah, maybe I'm more type B than I thought, even though I want to be type A. Imaginative and creative. I do think that. Um, I found out a term the other day. Who was I listening to? It was a podcast. Oh my gosh, what was it? Anyway, she called herself a frustrated artist. Oh, it was on Khloe Kardashian's podcast. It was with her party planner, the lady that plans like every elaborate party in Beverly Hills and Hollywood. And she's like, I can see all this stuff in my mind, but I cannot put it down on paper. I cannot draw. I cannot paint. I cannot do any of that. And she's like, so in a way, I'm a frustrated artist, but I can explain it to other people and have them do it. And I'm like, wow, my whole life I have gone through wondering why I can see all this stuff in my head, but when I try and put it on paper, it is the most horrendous, awful thing ever. So that's what I am, you guys. I'm a frustrated artist, and I finally have a name for it. This is what happens when you learn. You actually just realize that most of what you're going through, other people have gone through and have studied it and researched it, and yeah, and it just makes life much easier when you know other people are going through the same thing you are. Lighthearted and persuasive. Yeah. High levels of life satisfaction. No, not there yet. Fun loving, easygoing, and people oriented. I feel like they've said easygoing like 7 times. Um, yeah. Enthusiastic and spontaneous. I can be that. Friendly and inspiring. Yeah, I guess I could say that. Self confident and reflective. Yeah. Sorry, I just keep saying yeah. Highly patient and less prone to stress. I feel like I'm patient, but inside I'm a giant ball of stress. So, anyway, there's that. Let's talk about some personal stuff, and then we'll get into the pop culture stuff. So, in the last month, basically 3 weeks apart, I've lost two more grandparents. My dad's dad passed away quite unexpectedly. I mean, he was in his mid to late 80s, so it's like it's not shocking, but he was pretty healthy. And he basically went how everyone kind of wants to go. He just sat in his chair and his recliner and just kind of went to sleep. There was no signs of any like stress or stress to the body or anything like that. So I don't know. I mean, that it's good that he went like that, I guess, versus somewhat painful way. Um, but yeah, he was a very quiet man, very a hermit, um, hard to love, but really did care about people. And he was always really good to me. And I actually lived with him and my grandma, who she passed away in 2023. So I've lost three grandparents in a year and a half. And it's kind of a weird feeling because they've always been in my life. I've always had all of them for like most of my life. And yeah, like 99% of my life, I guess. Does that even make sense? um, anyway, uh, so yeah, that was hard. And then about a week later, 2 weeks, maybe a week later, my mom's mom, who had been kind of declining for a while, and she was like this extremely educated and very self-motivated type A person, motivated person, and she accomplished a lot in her career. She had a PhD. Um, she just was always learning, always going, always doing something. And we kind of were reminiscing about that because we didn't realize how much stuff she actually did with her grandkids that was just kind of like we thought was normal, but other grandparents didn't do that with their grandkids. Like our friend Sandy messaged us. She's like, I remember your grandma taking us all these places and always inviting me to come with you, and I appreciated that. And she's like, I remember her taking us to the world's largest pillow fight to try and get in the Book of World Records. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. We were always doing something, whether it was like going on, I remember she took us on a bike ride down Provo Canyon. We went to the Parade of Homes. We went to plays. We went to Disneyland a lot. She loved Disneyland. Um, just like really kind of low key things, but also big fun things doing. Um, and yeah, so just to watch her slow down in the last few years was really sad and really hard on her, you could tell. And anyway, she ended up falling and she broke her hip and she had a hip replacement. And there's just like, once you're that old and you have a broken hip, it's kind of like not good chances. And they told us that before that she went into surgery. And she just kind of never came out of it, and she never recovered. And she just couldn't mentally. What they call it? I don't even know if there's a term for it or if I'm describing it right. She could remember things from a long time ago, but she could not remember. She had short-term memory loss, like some form of dementia that way. And so to even like have her do physical therapy or anything like that, she just couldn't comprehend what they were telling her. And she just was so weak. She couldn't do any of it. Anyway, yeah, so she ended up dying, and we had her funeral a couple days ago on Wednesday, and it was very nice. We walked into her viewing before everyone kind of got there, and when I turned the corner, I like kind of took my breath away. I had never seen that many flowers at a funeral before. There were so many flowers. And rightfully so, because she knew a lot of people and she changed a lot of people's lives, and she was always going somewhere, whether it was to a wedding, friends, kids of friends' graduations. That makes sense. Whatever. She just never wanted to miss anything, and there was very few things of her grandkids that she missed, and she was always there to take us places whenever. Yeah, it's just kind of weird once they're gone. You always know the day is coming, and you know it's gonna be hard and sad, but when it's actually there, it's just kind of like a surreal feeling. You just don't really know. I don't know. You don't know what to think, and then all these stories and memories come back, and um, but yeah, and her funeral turned out really nice. Tons of flowers, tons of people there. A lady that she worked with and kind of mentored and convinced. What am I trying to say? Not convinced. I mean, she did do that, but really encouraged her to go back to school and get her degree. And she, if you're wondering, she was in the education industry. Why do I cannot think education field, and she ended up being a principal, which was her, like, she talked about all the time and she loved it. But the lady that talked at her funeral that she worked with, she said there were 6 of us that all went into the education field together and got our degrees, our higher education or whatever. And once we graduated, she hired all 6 of us to come work for her. And she's like, I'll never forget that. And she gave me a lot of opportunities. She made it possible for me to be a working mom, and go to school and get my education at the same time. And she's like, I will never forget it. Anyway, she will be missed. And I'm down to one grandparent, and it's kind of a weird feeling, but my grandpa has said many, many times over the last few days, time goes on, time moves on. And he's right. And I hate it. I hate it, hate it, hate it. Anyway, some things I remember about my grandparents. My grandpa, he had cows. And I remember one time he's like, I'll give you $100 if you go in that pen and pet that bull. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And I didn't really say anything. And then him and my dad started talking. And I went over and grabbed some hay and lifted it up through the fence. And the bull came over. And he took the hay out of my hand. And then I petted it. And my grandpa laughed so hard. And he pulled out his wallet and gave me a $100 bill. And that is how I got my first iPod. I went right over to Radio Shack. That really ages me. Went to Radio Shack and got my iPod. And I thought it was so expensive at the time. I think iPods were like, what, $140 or something? iPod Nano. I always think about that. What else? Oh, my grandma. We just found this out not too long ago by a lady that lives in our town. She said one time I was talking to your grandma, and we were talking about how she was a great piano player, which she was. And the lady was like, I really wish I could have taken piano lessons as a kid, but my family just didn't have the money for it. My grandma was like, oh yeah, my family was pretty poor too. But what I did was I just got a big piece of paper and taped it together and drew a keyboard, like a piano keys, on this paper, and would just practice on that piece of paper. And then whenever I could, mostly on Sundays or just, whenever I could, I would walk down to the church, which she lived quite a ways from the church, honestly. And I would just practice on the real piano what I had taught myself on my piece of paper. I'm like, oh my God, I need to stop complaining because to be able to do that and learn how to play the piano on your own from a piece of paper, I have no excuse as to why I can't reach my goals if she could do that. Anyway, let's move on. I went to Disneyland with some friends, my mom's friends, and they've been in my life since pretty much the day I was born. One of them babysat me since I was 5 months old, so me and her daughter Callie are like each other's first friends and really good friends to this day. And anyway, it was a no kids trip. It was all adults. I was the only boy there. Have I already talked about this? Sorry, I'm recording on a different day. I've already talked about this, haven't I? Anyway, my TikTok is at 146,000 views, so that's kind of exciting. I forgot to tell you this, though. That's why it's on here, and that's why I'm talking about it again. We were on the Cars ride, and we get off the ride, and my mom and her friends are like, did you see the movie star? We're like, what movie star? And they're like, Jeff Goldblum. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, he was in the car in front of us. We looked over at him, and we waved, and he waved back. He was, like, super friendly. I'm like, are you serious right now? And we never did see him again. But the next day I opened Instagram, and the first picture that popped up was him and his family standing in front of the Cars ride. I'm like, oh my gosh, he was here. I'm like, that is so fun. But I think it was the next day we were going to Rise of the Resistance in the Star Wars world, and me and my cousin were going to go check on our reservation. We're like, we'll meet you guys there. Just go and we'll go check on this reservation. And so we turn around, and I'm like, I see a man standing there. He's in a suit. I don't know why he's in a suit. And he's on the phone. And I was like, that is Drake Bell. And my cousin's like, what? I'm like, that's Drake Bell right there. And this girl goes up to him. She's like, are you Drake Bell? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, that's really him. He was like, seriously, like, I don't know, 10 feet away from us. And she's like, can I get a picture? It won't bother you on the phone. He's like, no, it's fine. And he got a picture with her. I'm like, what are the odds? That is so weird. Like, there's no one around him. We were like in this area where there's really not that many people. And I'm like, what is he doing? And then we go to dinner that night and we look up and there he is walking out of the restaurant too. I'm like, twice in one day? What are the odds of that? It looked like, my cousin's like, it looked like he was getting ready to film something because he was so dressed up. I'm like, yeah, that is true. Why would you wear a suit and tie? I don't know if he's wearing a tie, but to Disneyland. Anyway, so that was interesting. He looks the same, but also different in real life. I know he's older now and he looks different from when he was on Drake and Josh, but I don't know, kind of exciting. I always say, like, I'll go and talk to celebrities if I see them or get a picture, but I always just get too nervous. I don't want to bug them, even though it's part of their job, but I have pretty thin skin when someone says something mean to me. A lot of times I can just let it go, but there are some times when it's like really bugs me. So the thought of a celebrity being like, no, I'd be like, okay, and then run away. It'd just be so embarrassing. So I had no idea that people did not like Veneers until like this last year. I have a friend that always talks about them and how they think they're ugly. And I'm like, really? I don't. I mean, there are some that can be ugly for sure. I feel like the Kardashians have good veneers. Miley's, I do not like Miley. They're too big. I'm sorry. Someone's like, Miley can't even close her mouth with those big teeth in there. I'm like, yeah, that is true. The first person I ever heard about getting veneers was Hilary Duff, and this was forever ago. She said I was at a concert singing, and I hit the microphone on my teeth, and I looked down, and like I could feel something fall out of my mouth, so I put my hand out, and she looks down and her teeth are in her hand. So she's like, I had to go and get veneers. And that's remember I first heard someone say she has horse teeth. I'm like, that's kind of mean, but but yeah, veneers are quite popular, I guess. Selena Gomez has them. Most celebrities do. Jeffree Stars are made out of like, I don't know, titanium or some kind of crystal. What else? Who has them that people don't like? They say Taylor Swift's are too big. The one person that does not have veneers is Katy Perry, and I've always wondered why she didn't do it. And probably she doesn't care. Probably doesn't bug her that much. It's just her bottom teeth. They're kind of crooked. There's one that like is, would you call it a snaggle tooth that goes backwards in her mouth. But she probably doesn't want it to change her voice. It probably changes the way you sing, which is surprising when singers do that. It's surprising when singers do that and when singers smoke. I just don't understand. When people with amazing voices smoke, it just is baffling to me. So anyway, they call it the Hollywood veneers, and apparently people don't like them. And I did not know this until recently. I think it is currently Mardi Gras, but it could be past. I don't know if Mardi Gras is a whole like month or 2 weeks or a weekend or what. But I'm always like, what is Mardi Gras? So I found out. Mardi Gras is a festive day celebrated in France on Shrove Tuesday, the Tuesday before Ash Wednesday, and marks the close of the pre-Lenten season. The French name Mardi Gras means Fat Tuesday. I feel like that is a brand or a restaurant or something. I swear that I've heard that before. From the custom of using all the fats in the home before Lent in preparation for fasting and abstinence. And then I also wondered, why has it turned into like this big party thing where people just get drunk and become a mess, And it says people drink heavily during Mardi Gras because it's a celebration of indulgence and overindulgence. I'm like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Because they basically try and eat all the fat in their house before they have to fast for Lent. Let's see. It's a celebration of indulgence and overindulgence, marking the day before Ash Wednesday when people traditionally begin a period of Lent with fasting and abstinence. Essentially, it's a last hurrah to enjoy food and drink freely before the period of restraint begins, with the festive atmosphere and street celebrations encouraging heavy drinking. So then the question was, what is Lent? You always hear about this stuff, but you're like, I don't know, you don't really know. At least I don't. Lent is a 40-day period of prayer, fasting, and charitable giving observed by many Christians in preparation for Easter. It's a time to reflect on the events leading up to Jesus' death and resurrection. So my question is, I mean, you gotta eat. Most people cannot go 40 days without eating, right? So what's the catch? You do eat once a day? I mean, the abstinence thing would be pretty easy for me because no one wants me. But, like, what? I just don't understand. Do you not eat for 40? Is that the 40 days and 40 nights thing? I don't know. I didn't really get into on the Bible and all that thing. Anyway, so that is Mardi Gras, if you're wondering. Now, we have another thing that happened this week. It is Mayhem by Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga's new album. And it is very good. It is very addicting. She also hosted SNL yesterday, and she did a very good job. The one skit that stood out to me is when they say it's someone's birthday at a restaurant, but it's not really, just so they can get sang to and get free food. And it turns out to, like, they have to sacrifice themselves because they lied. And anyway, it was really funny. But yeah, Mayhem is very random. A lot of different types of genres in there, and people are loving it. And it's really interesting because people usually do not like albums that are not kind of the same sound and vibe. It'll be interesting to see what happens at the Grammys, because the Grammys traditionally do not like albums that don't sound pretty cohesive throughout, like Taylor Swift's Red album, they didn't like because it was a mixture of pop and country. And I think they said the same thing about Reputation. They said it didn't really sound the same, which is crazy. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. I think it's funny how now people are liking it, when all over Twitter and, social media, whenever an album comes out, they're like, it's really random. It doesn't make sense. It's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, but now it's okay. Like, now you like it. I don't know. It's interesting. Not hating. I'm just saying. There's a song called Vanish Into You, which I love. It's basically about kind of disappearing into the person that you love, and you just love them so much you want to vanish into them. And there's a part where she sings I over again. I don't want to sing it because I'm not very good, but it reminds me of Bad Romance when she's like, it's like the intro. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, I'm not going to do that. Also, it sounds like Shallow when she does that big, long note. I don't even know what. I don't know much about music, but yeah. So my favorites are I Still Will Always Love Disease, Always, and Abracadabra. They're both just very good. My favorite though is probably Don't Call Tonight, because it is so, oh my gosh, it is so relatable. And it's like kind of crazy how I think a lot of people can relate to this. It's basically about someone calling you and trying to kind of get back together with you, even though they don't really want you. They just want, a quick fling, and then the next morning they'll forget about you. They'll desert you. Let me read you some of the lyrics, because there's always that one person in your life that will just kind of keep you on a string, and then they don't really care about you, and they'll ghost you for a little bit, and then randomly they'll show up again. Okay, so here are some of the lyrics. It says, "You pull me close and knock me down, then I beg you to come back around. I'm so addicted to your lies, and in the mirror I get weak at the girl staring back at me. They're your eyes, don't call tonight unless you want to hurt me. Don't call tonight, it's not because you care. Don't call tonight, tomorrow you'll desert me. I can hear everything you're saying from here. Don't call tonight. Saturday morning, my head's on fire." Anyway, it just, the lyrics are wrong in Spotify, just FYI. It says, "Tomorrow you'll deserve me." I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. I'm pretty sure she's saying desert. So I looked up lyrics on, I think it was Genius online, and it says desert me. And even if Spotify's right, I will not sing it that way. I'll sing it Tomorrow You'll Desert Me, because that makes more sense. So that song's probably my favorite. How Bad Do You Want Me, which people are like, it is so Taylor Swift coded. It sounds just like her. I swear I can hear her in it. I'm like, okay. I have a friend that doesn't like it because it reminds him of Taylor Swift. I'm like, that's a dumb reason not to like a song. It's such a good song. It really truly is. People are saying it feels like it's a song that could be on Reputation or 1989. So yeah, Blade of Grass. It's very good. It's not my favorite. I just want to talk about it. It is basically, she's like, my fiance and I were sitting on the lawn and talking about getting engaged or getting married, and he's like, how do you want it to happen? And she's like, just take a blade of grass and wrap it around my finger and I'll marry you any day, or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. It's so sweet when people are in love and like each other. Let's see, what else do I like? I like Perfect Celebrity, Vanish Into You, and Love Drug. I think those are my top. She sang Killa on SNL yesterday, and I'm like, I wouldn't have chosen that one. It's not a bad song. It's just not my favorite. I would have done How Bad Do You Want Me, or she sang Abracadabra first, which was amazing. Or Perfect Celebrity. That one would have been a good one to sing. But, you know, I'm not in charge, so her performances were really good. They were very memorable. You know, some people perform and they kind of just stand up there and you don't remember them. But hers was very good. She was like dancing through the halls of SNL. And Abracadabra, she was like in this house-shaped thing with like mirrors everywhere and lights and cool costumes and designs. Anyway, it was very good. I highly recommend you go and watch it. What else has happened recently? Oh, I just found this out. Paris Hilton's book, which I still need to read, is being turned into a movie. And Elle and Dakota Fanning are producing it with her. And A24 is the not record label. What am I trying to say? The studio. There we go. The studio that is producing it as well. And she wouldn't give anything away, but she said the girl that's playing her is a blonde, iconic actress. So I couldn't even... I'm thinking... Is Lily Rose Depp? Is she blonde? I'm trying to think. I wouldn't pick her to play Paris, but you know what? It's not my movie. It's not my book. Also, there's this influencer on TikTok, and he's kind of like a pop culture enthusiast like myself, but he's one of those people that like uses big words and like gets very analytical and very in depth and stuff, and I'm just not like that. I just want to talk about people's pretty dresses and music videos and stuff like that. But he kind of like bugs a lot of people, including me. Sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't. This is something I very much disagree with him. He said Dua Lipa is not a pop star, she's an influencer. I'm like, interesting way to say that. She has some of the most streamed songs of all time, some of the biggest eras of all time. Yes, she is an influencer, but hasn't every pop star at one point been an influencer for something? I mean, name one pop star that hasn't collaborated with some brand and been a sponsor for that. Like, I think he just said it to get people riled up, and it worked. I don't know. What a stupid thing to say, right? What a dumb thing to say. Of course, pop stars are influencers, and who cares? Who cares if she is promoting things all the time? And it's promoting stuff for her, but also for not necessarily big, huge corporations. Like, she has a book club, and she promotes very, very important books that people should read, that she thinks that kind of teach people something. They're not just like vapid, like Nicholas Sparks type books like that. They're books that actually are informative, you know? I'm not saying Nicholas Sparks's books are bad. I'm just saying, you know, they don't really teach you much. I did find out, though, he wrote, what's the movie? A Walk to Remember? He wrote that while he was working. That's some of his full-time job. And then I guess he sold it or whatever eventually, and it took off, and that's kind of how he got started. So, yeah, follow your dreams, everyone. It can happen. There is a potential Bring It On in the works. We got that on Watch What Happens Live. Is it Gabrielle Union that's on that? Who is the girl? I think it is. Andy Cohen asked her if she had talked to Kirsten Dunst, and she's like, yeah, we've talked recently. He's like, so is there any talks of a Bring It On reunion or whatever, or a movie? And she's like, there are, yeah, that's her, Gabrielle Union. There are talks, and there is a, what did she say? Basically, she confirmed it, but she didn't. So get ready for another Bring It On. I haven't seen that movie in forever. I always think about the one with Hayden Panettiere when she shows up to school in her convertible bug and just like singing at the top of her lungs. I always think about that. Millie Bobby Brown put out a statement saying she thinks it's weird how grown people are commenting on like a 18 or 19-year-old's body, and how they won't let her grow up, essentially. And I'm like, you know what? That is actually very valid. And I think that is why Miley Cyrus went so hard on changing her, what am I trying to say? Her style, like breaking out of the Disney. People are like, she just went so crazy. And I'm like, yeah, but now people are like, okay, she's not Miley she's not Hannah Montana anymore. She's like, wants to do her own thing. And it's just very hard for these Disney darlings to get out of this cycle of being this perfect little role model for these kids. Anyway, this is really long, actually. I don't know if I'm going to read all of this. Instagram commented on it. She's like, I want to take a moment to address something that I think is bigger than just me, something that affects every young woman who grows up under public scrutiny. I think it's necessary to speak about this. I started on this industry when I was 10 years old. I grew up in front of the world, and for some reason people can't seem to grow with me. Instead, they act like I'm supposed to stay frozen in time, and like I should still look the way I did when I was on Stranger Things Season 1. Because I don't, I'm now a target. Let's talk about the articles, the headlines, the people who are so desperate to tear young women down. Why are Gen Zers like Millie Bobby Brown aging so badly? And she calls out The Journalist by Lydia Hawken. What has Millie Bobby Brown done to her face by John Eli? Millie Bobby Brown mistaken for someone's mom as she guides younger sister Ava through LA by Cassie Carpenter. Little Britain's Matt Lucas takes savage swipe at Millie Bobby Brown's new mommy makeover look, written by Bethan Edwards, amplifying an insult rather than questioning why a grown man is mocking a young woman's appearance. So I would be hard. Like she's growing up and she wants to look more grown up and more feminine and, you know, wear whatever she wants, and people just cannot seem to get on board with that, and it would be hard. Also, I think this is a little bit old, but I saw a TikTok of Kendall Jenner, and the TikTok is from the point of view of the paparazzi. One's driving and one's in the passenger seat, and he's recording out the back window. And Kendall Jenner is riding their ass in her Range Rover and honking the entire time, nonstop, honking, following them. Like they can't get away from her. She's following them up down every back street, like every alley. And she follows them for a long time. They're like, she's crazy. And all of the comments are like, it's kind of wild for the paparazzi to think that we'll be on their side. Like, you are literally stalking her and won't leave her alone. And now that she's doing it to you, you can't handle it. It's really funny. I highly recommend looking it up because it's just, they're like, she's finally crashing out. She's finally hit the wall. And it would be annoying. I would agree. Like, I feel like when you're at red carpets or just, you know, whatever, out and about, you kind of expect it to happen. But like when they're waiting outside your house all the time, day and night, that would be so annoying. So annoying. But anyway, I highly recommend looking up that video because it is super funny. This I have been trying to talk about for, I don't know, the last 3 weeks, and I keep forgetting to write it down. Alani has been purchased by Celsius. And I have one thing to say. If you change the ingredients or the recipe at all, you will be hearing from me. I will be Kendall Jenner chasing down paparazzi, but instead of that, it'll be the CEO of Celsius. I'm not kidding. Do not mess with Alani. I can't even drink a Celsius anymore. They are so bitter and foul tasting. I can't. I don't like them. They're not good. Alani just perfected it. And it's kind of fun. It started out with this like young couple, and they had a gym and they just started making their own gym supplements. And it kind of turned into this. It basically kind of was the minnow that swallowed the whale. Is that what it's called? Is that the phrase? Yeah, so they sold it for $1.8 billion. That's crazy. I don't know. I really, really, maybe this is what I'll propose. Please just make them without caffeine. Like, caffeine does absolutely nothing for me. I saw a friend of mine on her TikTok. She's like, how do you guys drink a whole Celsius? She's like, I drink like barely half of one and I am like supercharged. I'm like, huh, I wish that could be me. There's not enough caffeine that would do a thing for me. I just love the taste of Alani. It's just the crisp, cold. I get why people are obsessed with Dr. Pepper and Diet Coke. I get it. I truly get it now. I always wondered when people, like specifically housewives would always be like, oh, I need my Diet Coke. I need my Diet Coke. And I'm like, why? Like, just drink water. And I get it now. I love a good salty meal with a cold Alani. And I'll just think about it all the time. That brings me joy. Take me to a beach under a palm tree on a beach chair with Mayhem playing in the background, and the waves crashing. Not too hot, definitely not too cold. Like a good 90 degrees would be good. And have my Alani just sitting there with a good book, maybe a magazine. What magazine would I want to read? Probably like a Vanity Fair or maybe a GQ. And my little Ritz peanut butter crackers. My mouth's watering because I'm thinking about it. Anyway, what I'm getting at is if you change the recipe, I will get Kris Jenner involved and it will be ugly and you will not be happy. But I was also thinking it might be good if they changed the recipe because then I'd stop drinking it. Every time I'm like, I know what an addict feels like now because I'm like, this is my last time. This is my last one. And then the second my eyes open in the morning, I'm like, where's my Alani? Where is it? And when I'm out of them, like purposely, I will not buy any more because I'm like, well, then I won't have an excuse. I'll just have to get up and not have one. And yeah, that doesn't work. I kind of go crazy. I remember I had a box in my car one time and it kind of spilled. It was in my trunk and my trunk is a disaster. That is kind of my type B. My car, my room actually, I kept my room clean for a long time and I'm actually pretty proud of that. The rest of the house, not so much. This office, not at all. My car, it's just, I kind of live out of my car, so it's type B. Anyway, I remember a box of Alani's kind of spilled and I'm like, there's gotta be one in here somewhere. There's gotta be. And I searched and searched and searched and I found it. And I found an Alani and the day was saved. I went to Costco yesterday and they changed the box of Alanis you get. First of all, it used to be, this is how addicted I am. It used to be the cherry slush, the peach, and the cosmic flavor, the purple one, which I like all those flavors. Then they changed it to cherry twist, strawberry slush, I think that's what it's called. The Paris Hilton one. That one's really good. And the orange. I don't love the orange. It kind of tastes like Fanta to me. I'll drink it, but it's not my first choice. Now they have the watermelon one. They have the Hawaiian punch or Hawaiian shaved ice one, which I hate. And what's the other one they have? Just the plain new strawberry, which again, I don't love, but I don't hate. So this might be a good thing. This might help me cure my addiction because I don't like the new box of flavors they have. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on that tangent for so long. We've been going on for 45 minutes and I've hardly talked about any pop culture news. Let's move on. Katy Perry and Lady Gaga are both performing in Mexico City on the same exact day. So it's kind of like another Roar and Applause battle. If you're unaware, Roar by Katy Perry and Applause by Lady Gaga came out on the same day. And the fans kind of went at it and were like, who's going to win? Who's going to win? I think ultimately Katy Perry's outperformed Applause. But we all know what happened after the next album came out. So, which is kind of crazy because I think Chained to the Rhythm is one of the greatest songs of all time. I'm not even kidding. Go onto YouTube and type in Chained to the Rhythm without lyrics. And it is one of the best music tracks I've ever heard. It is truly phenomenal. The whole message of the song, the music video is amazing. I've actually been to that amusement park that she filmed Chained to the Rhythm at. Not mean to brag, but it's actually a really fun park. So yeah, fans are calling it another Applause Roar type thing, but it's funny how they have to constantly keep saying like, we're not against each other. Like we're not trying to outperform each other. We're not trying to do this. You guys are the ones that are making it like this. And it really is. Like Stan Twitter is a wild place to be, and people can be very ruthless. I remember seeing this video, but I can't remember exactly how this was happening. But Steve Carell teamed up with this charity place, and they are giving prom tickets to the people in LA whose high schools have burned down. Now, I don't know what that means. Prom here in Utah, especially in the county that I live in, is very different than prom anywhere else. So I don't know if they go to a different venue and have a prom. I don't understand how that works. But anyway, they gave prom tickets to all the high school kids, which I thought was kind of fun. Okay, I watched the Kardashians. I'm caught up. I think I'm caught up. Maybe I'm not. I think I'm on behind now. I watched the episode where they go into that creepy vampire's house and he kind of explains to him all the stuff he eats and does on a daily basis to stay healthy and alive for a long time. And he looks really scary. He looks frightening. He doesn't eat anything that doesn't have a purpose, that doesn't serve. He says every calorie that goes into his body has some kind of purpose. He has a whole room of like this medical equipment. And he's like, I just highly encourage people to do this. I'm like, sir, eggs are $10 and I can barely afford that. You think I'm going to be able to afford a $200,000 red light therapy machine in a house that I don't even own? Like, no, there's no way. I don't know. It seemed very Hunger Games, like Capital vibes. And I'm like, okay, you kind of read the room. It was interesting to see because you hear about this guy. He's the guy that has his son's plasma put back into his body to try and make it more youthful. And he's kind of crazy. And my friend Catherine said he's from Utah. I'm like, well, great. Now another reason to think people will think we're weird. Okay, just a few notes I have from this episode. So this is the episode where Courtney and Kim are going to do the Dolce & Gabbana / Skims campaign. And Courtney just will not let this go. And she will never be right in this situation. I think she was right in the sense that Kim never stops working, but I still don't understand how that's a problem. Kim did admit that she's a workaholic. But I'll never understand. Like, Courtney does not own Dolce & Gabbana. Courtney is not the only one partnered with Dolce & Gabbana. Miley Cyrus has been partnered with them forever. Like, she doesn't own them. I don't understand what she's thinking. Like, truly, I don't understand. And she will not let it go. She agrees to do the campaign with her, the whatever. But she complains the whole time. And she's like, my opinion will never change. I was in the right. Whatever. I just... But then in this episode, she's like, I'm just not in the fashion world. I'm not about this. This is not my life. I'm like, so then why do you freaking keep complaining about the Dolce & Gabbana thing if you're not in the fashion world, Courtney? Like, I don't know. I like Courtney, but she drives me nuts a lot of the times. She just like some of the things she says, and like you're actually really rude. And I don't know. This next one though, oh, I was getting heated. So they go to that creepy vampire's house, and afterwards, Chloe's talking to Kendall. She's like, I feel like you would have really liked this, and you should have come with us. And Kendall's like, well, what? And she kind of explains it to her. She's like, this is exactly the stuff that I'm into, like health and wellness and stuff. Why didn't anybody tell me? She's like, we did tell you. It was in the group chat. She's like, well, I don't read those. And Chloe's like, okay. She's like, you should have reached out to me on a single text thread and told me about it. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to scream right now. I want to scream so badly. No, Kendall, no. You got the information. You just choose not to participate in these group chats and respond to people. I cannot stand when people don't respond to text messages for days and days and days and days and days, and then get mad when they're not a part of things. I'm like, it's almost like we sent a message to your device that you have in your hand 24/7, and you read it and didn't do anything about it, and now it's our fault? No. I'm so sorry. Lazy texters, to me, I just can't deal with them. I can't. And I'm not saying you have to reply to every single text messages. Like, there's messages you know, it's kind of like, oh, this is the end of the message. Like, this is the end of the conversation. But when it's like something important, when you need to know some information, but I get it. There are times when it slips through the cracks. I truly do. But it's the people that constantly do it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see this. I'm like, really? Really? Because you posted about 17 TikToks and 42 Instagram posts since then, but you didn't see it. The thing that bothers me the most, my Gmail logo or whatever, should we see what it's at? This is going to drive Jackson crazy. Oh, it doesn't do it anymore. Why doesn't it show how many messages I have? You know what I'm talking about when there's like little numbers above it. Maybe it'll show me on my computer. Anyway, I think it's at like 20,000 emails right now, which is a lot. I will get that. But emails, they're like, you don't really need to respond to them. I'm not like emailing people about business stuff. It's all like confirmation numbers and, you know, deals and promos and stuff from companies. But when people have like 300 unread messages, I'm like, why? There's got to be, you know, several in there that really need your attention right now. I could talk about this all day. It just drives me nuts. It drives me crazy. Anyway, Kendall, you're wrong. I'm so sorry. You are wrong in this. I will never agree with you on this one. And the audacity you have to get mad at Chloe for not reaching out to you because you chose not to respond to a family message, which gave you all the information about this thing that they went to that you're mad that you didn't get invited to, but you were invited. Anyway, moving on. Amanda Seyfried was on Jimmy Fallon the other day, and she sang, what did she sing with? It was this guitar thing. And she sang a cover of Joni Mitchell's California song. Amanda Seyfried, Joni Mitchell. But it's a certain type of a dulcimer. Watch Amanda Seyfried play the dulcimer while covering Joni Mitchell's California. And her voice is very pretty. I've always liked her. Some people are kind of mean to her. Just like, in the sense, like, they're mean to her, like, they're just mean to J-Lo and mean to Camila Cabello. And they're just some... They're just some celebrities that people are just mean to, and she's one of them. And I've never understood why, because she really just stays in her own lane and doesn't bother anybody and is really nice. And I don't know. But I highly recommend going to look at it. It's on a lot of people's TikToks right now. They're using that sound as like a kind of like an upbeat, I don't know, like a manifesting type video. You know what I mean? Like lots of green grass and optimism and ocean waves and stuff like that. And they're like, I can't get this song out of my head. Like, this is the only thing I can think about, like, over and over again. What's next? Trisha Paytas is having another baby. She is. And that'll be her third. And she was told that she probably would never be able to have kids. And now she has 3 all on her own. That's crazy. But so if you're not aware, there's a lore behind whenever Trisha Paytas has a baby. And the first baby, Malibu, I think this was false, but people kind of just ran with it. They said that Malibu was born, or the queen died, and then Malibu was born. So basically, Malibu is the queen reincarnated. But I think it came out later that she wasn't actually born the same day the queen died. And then something else happened to the king. Who else died? King's still alive. No. When did the king die? Not the current one, but the other one. Okay, so I'm not sure where the second one's coming from, but shortly after the queen died in 2022, Malibu was born. And so people were like, she's reincarnated. She's the queen reincarnated. And then they were speculating something was going to happen during the second pregnancy and birth. And now they're like, the Pope is frightened for his life because Trisha Paytas is pregnant again. I love the internet. Okay, so my intro, very cringe, but necessary for this next one. If you've been watching White Lotus, if you haven't, you need to. I watched last week's episode this morning, because I'm going to stay with my friends tonight and we want to watch the newest episode together. I did not realize, do you remember the interview that Blake Lively did with that other lady, and they were just being really rude to the one interviewer? And they basically were like ignoring her and mocking her pretty much. That is Parker Posey, and Parker Posey is the mom in White Lotus, which has everybody in a chokehold right now because everyone loves her character. And I'm like, dang it, that is really sad because I like her. And I'm going to give her a pass because maybe she was just trying to keep Blake Lively happy in the moment because she knew how hard she was to deal with. So I'll give her that. I think we all have that one friend that we kind of like go along with, even though they're being extremely rude, and you just don't want to rock the boat with them. But she is the one that has the very strong, thick Southern accent, and she was on the Today Show, and they were talking about her accent and how everyone loves it, and that's what she says. Piper, no. Buddhism. Tsunami. But basically, they had to watch Southern Charm. The whole family in White Lotus is based off the family from Southern Charm. It's this reality show. I think they're based out of North Carolina, I think. But kind of all their characters are based off the family members of that show. This show is really good, you guys. It's so good. It's just, you just never know what to expect. Truly. It's not a show you can really predict. There's just always some kind of weird, random twist and turn. And then always, like the last few episodes, it just gets really crazy. And I'm very excited. I can't remember if we've talked about this before, but I have a feeling no, because I was really surprised when I saw it. But there is a new Chronicles of Narnia film coming to Netflix, and Greta Gerwig is directing it. Greta Gerwig, if you're unaware, is the lady that directed Barbie. And the reason I saw this was because they're thinking of casting Charli XCX as the White Witch, and I'm like, that's kind of fun. But she's the only one on the cast list right now, so I think it might be true. How fun would that be? The movie doesn't come out until November 26th of 2026, though, so we got a while. I don't know, kind of fun. That's a franchise or a show or a movie. I don't even know how many movies there are I want to rewatch, because it's been forever since I saw it. Lady Gaga had a press conference for her album Mayhem the day before it came out, but instead of inviting journalists, she invited Little Monsters, which are the name of her fans. And they are asking the most bizarre, not bizarre, but what am I trying to say? Like niche questions, like questions that no journalist would ever think to ask. Like they're asking when is the Telephone Part 2 coming out? And they're like, did you see that Azalea Banks was praising disease on Twitter? And if you're unaware, Azalea Banks is known for being just very ruthless and rude and doesn't like very many things. She's hilarious, though. Some of the stuff she says is so funny. And she's like, I did see that. She's like, this really is a little monster press conference, isn't it? But the questions they were asking was like every fan's question they would ask. And I'm like, this is how it should be done. This is how it should be done. There's a new show coming out on Hulu. I talked about this in my TikTok and Instagram video I just posted. It's called Mid-Century Modern. It is about, it's kind of like a Golden Girls-esque movie, but with gay men. It's got Matt Bomer in it and Nathan Lane. And if you're unaware, Nathan Lane is he's Timon. He's also in some episodes of Modern Family. He's hilarious. And he's also in How to Get Away with Murder, which he does a really good job in that too. That's a show I need to catch up on. I am way behind on that. And let's see, so it's following three best friends, gay men of a certain age who decide to retire together to Palm Springs after an accidental death. So that comes out March 28th on Hulu. It's from the creators of Will and Grace. So if you're a Will and Grace fan, I think you'll like this one for sure. It's like a fun, lighthearted show. It's just kind of like a show you can watch whenever, you don't really need to be paying attention that much to it. Kind of like a Reba or a Two Broke Girls or Will and Grace, just stuff like that. What is next? Chelsea Handler's book is now on the #1 New York Times bestselling. This is her, I think, 6th. I think she has 7 books, but 6 of them are #1. And yeah, that's exciting. I'm trying to finish the book I'm reading right now, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, which is really good. I highly recommend you read it. And then I'm going to get my Chelsea Handler book. I am trying not to buy books before I finish my other books because, as we all know, I don't finish a lot of things. So I'm trying to train myself. So there's been 30 years of Black Eyed Peas, and they have a new vinyl coming out. Okay, so there's actually 3 new vinyls. They're all reissues. They have Elefunk, Monkey Business, and The End. I never knew that's what it meant. The Energy Never Dies. Huh. That album was like everywhere, and I really like it still. The vinyls are like translucent though. It's kind of cool. But yeah, so there's 3 of them you can buy. I think they're out from what I can see. Yeah, they're all. Oh wait, there's 4. They got 4 albums. This is the newest one. Because Fergie's not in it anymore, and I'm not interested anymore. Fergie was like my first celebrity obsession. I loved her. Oh my gosh, I loved Fergie so much. Still do. Okay, let's see. We've got 2 more things to talk about. The Summer I Turned Pretty final season comes out in July. What a good summer show to watch. I've never watched it. People say it's really good. I've never watched it though. But it's got Taylor Swift's August playing in the background, which is funny. It's coming out in July, but they're playing August. And it's just like the sound of that song makes you want to be in the Hamptons on a beach with your friends, like with a Jeep with no top on the Jeep too. And it's just very nostalgic, a nostalgic song. I love summer. I cannot wait for summer. It's going to be interesting because it's going to be lighter at night now. And I really wish it would go the opposite way. I wish it would get lighter in the morning because I'm a morning person and I want to go to bed at night, but I am in the minority on that. I'm going to Phoenix tomorrow though, and they don't do daylight savings time. So I don't even know, are they back on our time now? Or is it their time? What is it? I don't know. All right, it is officially, since as of yesterday, I think, has been 1 year since Eternal Sunshine. And I love that album. I love it, love it, love it. I especially love We Can't Be Friends. It's truly one of the greatest songs ever to exist. And the music video is phenomenal, flawless. One of the best we've ever seen. We don't really get a lot of good music videos anymore. Music videos are not what they used to be. I think we can all agree that Katy Perry and Lady Gaga have the best music videos. I think it's just a well-known fact. And we'll throw Taylor Swift in there. But yeah, we just don't get music videos like that anymore. And it's really sad. So to see one that is that creative and that artistic and that emotional was really fun. But I talked about this last episode. I wanted to find this picture I saw. And it says Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande. And it's like how you should feel when you listen to it. So let's see. It goes intro by Don't Want to Break Up Again, Saturn Returns interlude, Eternal Sunshine. And in that lump of songs, it says end of relationship, first reaction to a breakup. Reality starts sinking in and she struggles with the idea of letting go. She wrestles with the back and forth emotions of wanting to stay but not knowing it's over. The pain is fresh and she's still trying to make sense of everything falling apart. And then it goes to Supernatural. It says falling in love with someone else. And then it goes to True Story, The Boy Is Mine, Yes And this one, it says reacting to how the media perceive the new relationship and playing the character they assigned to her. She feels the weight of the public's judgment twisting her story into something unrecognizable. Instead of resisting, she embraces the narrative, turning speculation into confidence. Then we got We Can't Be Friends and I Wish I Hated You. Oh, those two songs. My eyes are watering just thinking about them. Final reflections on her relationship, not being able to fully let go yet. Then we've got Imperfect for You, realizing she doesn't have to be perfect to love somebody. And then Ordinary Things, which I love that song too. Learning from Nona, her grandma, what a healthy relationship should look like, and finally understanding why she had to leave her ex. So there you go. That is how you should listen to Eternal Sunshine. But we just got confirmation that there is, I guess I shouldn't say confirmation, most likely a deluxe album's coming out. And she teased I think another music video. And I think no, she did. It's a deluxe album because I got an email. No, it was on her story. It says pre-save the deluxe Eternal Sunshine. So there we go, you guys. We're getting it. We are getting it. She was at the Oscars last week and they asked her about Eternal Sunshine, I think the deluxe. And she's like, I can't say yet because when I say soon means 10 days or less to my fans. So she's like, I can't say that, but I can say eventually. So I don't know. Apparently it's longer than 10 days away, but it's sooner than we thought. Anyway, I'm going to Phoenix on Monday. Tomorrow. Get some sunshine in. Going to see my friend Angelina. It's my friend Cassie's birthday today. It's also my niece's birthday. So happy birthday to all of you. And it's starting to get warmer, so enjoy the warm weather. And go do something fun. Go do something productive. And enjoy your life. And thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Okay, bye.